What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome back to episode 7 of Lyon Live here in Football Manager 2019. Hopefully you guys are good. Today we are back once more, of course. If you missed last episode, 2 massive games in it. In fact, there were 3 matches total, but the games that really mattered, Juventus and Marseille. This man here, the man of the moment, the big man on campus, the head honcho, the top dog, the big sausage. I don't know where I'm going with this. Bertrand Traore, what a performance he put in last time out. This guy, I had a few experiences with him in Football Manager years ago, back when he was kind of at Chelsea and he'd quite frequently get released by them. Obviously, Lyon, he's established himself a little bit more. And, well, he's going to hopefully defy all the expectations and preconceptions I had about him based off those previous years of playing FM, where he hadn't really done a great deal for me. He looked superb. Last episode, he was great for us as well. Today, we've got a few different games. We're going to try and get 3 matches done. We've got Dijon, Nantes, and also Club Brugge to play today. You can see Nantes down in 14th, Dijon in 10th, Brugge in 2nd. I feel like that PSG game, getting a little bit ambitious to get to that one. We'll see how we get on. But yes, I think we'll be doing another triple header today. But anyway, the fixtures are going to continue to come thick and fast here. And as a result, I do need to rest some of my slightly more tired players. The players who have been in the first team might be a little bit exhausted and who, well, we might be relying on a little bit to play for us and, put in good performances against Dijon. Just one little thing to note is that for this upcoming game, both Ndombele and Toussaint are going to be suspended. So with that in mind, we're going to have to bring in Aouar and Papa Cech. Obviously, 2 very, very competent players. Aouar as kind of a centre midfield that can definitely do a job. Papa Cech, again, more than solid, I feel like, to play that more defensive role for us. It does mean that McTominay can come onto the bench. And I guess we'll bring in Jordan Ferry. I'm just wondering if I actually want to bring in Ferry. He's been unhappy at the club since before I joined, trying to force a move. I'm just wondering if I want to even play him, with the kind of being a little mindful of the fact that he does want to leave. I'm wondering if actually having Gravenberch on the bench might be the better option, potentially give him a first team debut. I think we will go with that. But yeah, to be honest, the team's in very, very good shape right now. Hoping that the rest can serve us well. And the 2 league games today are 2 that we should be doing reasonably well in, I feel like, especially after that last result against Marseille. But whether or not that is realistic remains to be seen. Okay, we're getting our first inklings of complaining, and it's actually Leo Dubois here, who is not so happy about the lack of first-team football he's been getting at right-back. I mean, I like this guy, but he is only a backup player to us. Let's see if we can discuss this issue with him. Okay, he wants to discuss his lack of first-team football. I'm starting to think I might not be up to the standards to play regularly. I've been thinking about moving on. Interesting. So, I like this guy, but he isn't wrong about the fact he is kind of more of a backup option. We do have Kenny Lala as well, who is a very similar player on almost half the wages. Dubois here is valued at 7.25 million. Now, whether or not a team would actually pay that remains to be seen. But given the fact we have got, obviously, Lala who can play right back, Danea who can play right back if we need him to, obviously Tete, our starting right back. I'm not necessarily against selling Dubois if we get a good offer for him. Of course, we are selling Raphael in January. But it would offer us an opportunity to sell this guy who's good, but he's not great. If we could get, I don't know, 12 million for him, that seems very ambitious. But we've got to start high. I'd be happy. Outside the transfer window, I can't see us getting that many offers for him. You know what? If we get like the right offer, I'd be okay to sell him. I'm going to tell him that Tete's just playing too well at the moment. He says that makes sense and he's going to work hard to get into our plans. Realistically, even if Tete wasn't playing that well, I'd probably play Kenny Lala ahead of Dubois. So with that in mind, if we were to get in a good offer, I wouldn't be against selling him. But of course, he has just joined the club as well, as we noted. So that might put off teams wanting to buy him. Okay, Musterman is not happy that Gnabry's not playing very much. I'm going to tell him that having watched Gnabry since he joined the club, I don't think he's good enough to be a first-team regular. He's disappointed I've seen him that way. He loaned Gnabry to me with the intention he'd get football. I'm sorry, I can't risk my own team's performance. We might not be able to loan players against, from Bayern in the future, which isn't necessarily the worst thing in the world. I don't intend to loan that many players. I mean, we can't terminate his loan, I don't think, outside the transfer window, but if we could, I might well be tempted to do it. I mean, he looks like a very good, solid player as backup if we have a few injuries, but with players like Saint-Maxime doing well, and obviously Terrier just doing superbly, Bertrand Traore's playing great, Cornet as well has certainly not been terrible. I just don't know where Gnabry fits into the team. I kind of brought him in before we'd signed Marin or... who was the other player we signed? I'm trying to remember now. Brain, help me out. Saint-Maxime in, of course. But since those guys have come into the team, it's kind of difficult to justify playing him. You know, as a loanee, I don't really want to limit the development of our other players. Apparently, Gravenberch has been putting in some good performances out on the left wing. That is good to see. We're currently training him as an inside forward. Very likely to make his debut, I think, against Dijon. Ferry is now apparently happy to stay at the club, I just noted. Which is an interesting one, because I do actually really like Ferry, and he is homegrown at club. I mean, can we remove him from the transfer list now? Is he going to be happy to be a backup player? Potentially. I mean, it's good that he wants to stay at the club, I guess. So his contract's up at the end of next year. See, I do really like Ferry here. I just don't know how much regular first-team football he's going to even play for us. He is still unhappy at the club, so he doesn't want to renew his contract. But at the same time, now that he's not really forcing a move so much, I might be less inclined just to, ship him out of the door necessarily. Anyway, first game of today's episode is going to be against Dijon. It's a big one for us, hoping that we can get a good result against them. Our scouts, who have you found for us? I mean, Kingsley Coman, thank you. That's a suggestion of a player that I never considered getting. Arzani looks very good here. On loan from Manchester City. Can play out on the right-hand side. I mean, I like the look of him. I must admit, I feel like I've seen this guy in FM saves in the future, but I've never kind of seen him in present day. He looks okay. He's on loan at Celtic, and at 19, he has some potential to live up to. Of course, we've got all these scouting suggestions coming in. The reality is that we don't have any transfer budget to spend, and I don't think we can ask for any more money at the moment. Indeed, we can't. So not a great deal we can do there. Anyway, we've got the game against Dijon today. Part of me is tempted to be a little, potentially, you could argue, disrespectful to Dijon here and rotate the team a little. I mean, we've got Nantes following this, who are slightly lower down in the league. If we just look at Dijon's overview, they're predicted to finish 18th. Nantes, where are you predicted to finish? 9th. So that could be a potentially trickier game, even if they are slightly lower down in the league. So with that in mind, I might even rotate the team a little more for this game. We could give Gravenberch an appearance maybe instead of Terrier. Maybe Cornet for Traore, who would be good to keep fit. I do want to rotate the team a fair bit here. We've got lots of young players, all who need first-team football to kind of develop. And I want to give them those opportunities where I can. Is there anything else I want to change here? Tete's one booking away from a suspension. I'd rather not have him suspended. So you know what? We'll give Lala some game time, hopefully to build up a little bit of match fitness for him. The rest of the team, though, to be honest, I'm pretty happy with. There's a little bit of rotation, but at the same time, we have a good little squad here. And hopefully Gravenberch can show us what he's made of, making his debut in the first team at the age of 16. I feel like when you spend £5 million, even if a player's only 16 years young, you kind of expect them to be able to do a job when you call upon them. So this is going to be a bit of a test for him. But yeah, we go into this game away from home. We are massive favourites. Dijon, not the most formidable of opposition in the league. Always going to be a banana peel, though, this kind of game, potential slip-up. Let's hope we can put in a good performance. You can see with their team, they're playing with two centre defensive mids. And then Gourcuff playing off the front man, and then the wide men slightly deeper. Because they're not playing with, right attacking mid and left attacking mids, I'm actually going to change our wing-backs here to play more attacking, get slightly higher up the field. Marcel and Lala definitely capable of doing that. But yeah, because their wide men aren't starting in such advanced areas of the pitch, we can give them a little bit more permission to get forward. As we have a chance here, it's blocked away. Gravenberch was offside. I don't know if that would have resulted in the goal being disallowed. It was listed as a clear-cut chance. I think it was Wallace, point-blank range, smashing it straight at the keeper, who well, stopped it well. Anyway, chance down here on the right-hand side. It's Kenny Lala to Cornet. Can we work the space here? Can we work it into the box? Aouar to Marcel, the left-back, who has a go. I mean, I didn't think he had it in his locker as he stepped up to smash that. And it turns out he didn't have it in his locker. Goes flying over. And, well, we've started this game well, but not broken the deadlock after half an hour. 65% of the ball in our favour. Lots of the highlights for us starting down this right-hand side as Lala wins it. And now with that attacking duty, he is going to get high up the field. Fekir looks for Lala, speaking of the devil, giving him some game time, maybe a chance for him to force himself into first team contention. Fekir drifting inside, Gravenberch, 16 years young, to Aouar, who hits the woodwork. Cornet maybe with the rebound, dispossessed. The woodwork denies us. It was an ambitious, long effort, but it didn't hit the target, and you can't score if you don't hit the target. Famous words. I don't know which philosopher said it. Maybe it was me. But yeah, if you don't hit the target, you can't score. Unless it deflects in, I guess. I don't know where I'm going with this. Or it's known goal. Now I think about it, you don't necessarily have to hit the target to score a goal. But with all that said, it's 0-0 at half-time. Bit disappointing, to be honest, in our first half performance. Josef Martinez not having the best of games. With that in mind, we're going to bring in Dembele for the second half. Fresh pair of legs. I feel like in Dembele and Martinez, we've got two very evenly matched strikers. Dembele perhaps has a little bit more potential, so I do want to give him game time. Fekir, free kick, hits it. What a save that is by the keeper, by the way. But yes, was this over the line? No, it wasn't close. Why are you showing me this? Skip. But no, with Martinez and Dembele, we have two very capable forwards. I kind of want to rotate them both, but Dembele with a tiny bit more potential is kind of the man who I do want to perhaps prioritise. Martinez will get first team football this year unless he just stops scoring goals. But, well, 15 minutes gone here. I don't really want to make a second change too soon in this game. We're the team on top in this match, certainly, and creating a lot of opportunities. And well, let's see what we can build from the back here. Cech to Marcel. Building it from deep. Not a great deal of emphasis on the pressing by Dijon. They're kind of stepping off us a little bit, which is kind of to be expected with their formation. Gravenberch, what a pass that is. Fekir, running forward. Can he finish it? He can't. Cornet, though, definitely can finish it. And while Gravenberch was involved in the build-up, Fekir, not accredited with the assist. He was dispossessed as he went surging into the Dijon box. But it's Cornet, it's another one of the wide men who gets a goal. I think that is, well, you can see here, it is his first goal of the season. Of course, him and Traore kind of go-to right-hand-sided players, two very talented left-footed wingers who, we will look to have cut inside on their stronger foot. Or their stronger feet, I guess you'd say. Fekir's now injured. Please do not be a serious long-term one there. With that in mind, we'll bring in Terrier, play him on the left, and then bring Gravenberch into the middle. We've had some rotten luck with injuries so far during our time as Lyon manager. I am praying that Fekir one is not too serious. Now Gravenberch is injured. What is happening? Right, let's bring in St. Maximin. Terrier, you're going back in the middle, my friend. I mean, I'm hoping these two injuries aren't serious. We've had some seriously bad luck. I feel like I've rotated the team pretty liberally throughout this opening kind of start to the year. But you look at the Depay injury, obviously the injury to Mendy at left back, the broken ankle of Antonio Marin. We've had some rotten looks. I'm hoping that these two injuries aren't too serious. The fact that both players have had to go off rather than play through their injuries is somewhat concerning. I guess the only saving grace is that the final third, particularly the attacking midfielder area of the pitch, is perhaps the area of the park where we do have the most coverage, as St. Maximin brings the ball forward. Dembele, Aouar, hits it. I mean, what a goal that is. I was about to comment on the fact that with 10 minutes left, I felt uncomfortable at only one goal up, and then Aouar, from out of the top draw, just scores that. I mean, if Fekir is going to be out for a little while at attacking midfielder down the centre, Aouar is perhaps the player who will be the go-to option to step up for us. More finishes like that, please. Great to see two more players getting their first goals of the season here in this first game against Dijon. We've been on top from the off. You can see they are going more and more defensive now. Just shutting up shop. We've made all our changes. There's not a great deal I can change here. But it looks like we are going to get another victory. A 2-0 win away from home. Would have liked maybe a few more goals, but at the same time, the clean sheet is superb, assuming we're not going to concede in the last 20 seconds. I can't complain about it too much. And we look very good. I do think after this game we will sort out our mentoring groups, because it's something that I've not really taken a lot of pride in yet, but it's definitely a new feature in FM with the the rework to tutoring that we should definitely be looking in with our younger side, how we can get the most out of our players. But well, 2-0 this is going to finish here. Good performance, good win, clean sheet. Hoping those injuries aren't serious. But well, we continue our fine league form, although PSG are going to overtake us on goal difference. Lala put in a good little shift at right back, which is pleasing. You can see ourselves and PSG tied now on goal difference. I don't know if we're going to be tied on goals scored and against. I have a feeling that you can see they've scored one more goal than us. We've conceded one less, but it's pretty much as tight as it could be after 7 games to start this season. Fekir is out for 6 to 7 weeks if we inject him, 4 to 5 weeks if we send him to the physio. Gravenberch has not got a serious injury, so he's a little bit lucky, I guess. I was worried that we were going to be missing out on him. Our good performance by him. He is going to be the man now. I think we look to step up in Fekir's shoes. In terms of the games coming up over the next month, I mean, that PSG game is going to be a massive game to be without Fekir. But it is looking like he's also going to be missing potentially for the first Dortmund game. Well, almost certainly, but even perhaps for the second game as well, which, I don't know, that's a tiny bit concerning. Definitely some big games that we are going to sorely miss Fekir for there. I have got to now think a little bit about how I want to approach things here for this next game. I mean, Ndombele is, of course, going to be back in the team. And, of course, we are also going to have, where are you? Toussaint, my friend. Our ball-winning midfielder, back in the team. I mean, despite the injuries, it's still a very, very strong 11. We are lacking perhaps a little bit in the centre-mid department, but we do have some serious talent, so I'm not greatly concerned. I mean, you can see here the strength in depth is quite remarkable that we have. We're in an okay position despite these injuries. Our team is still very, very strong. And of course, Depay coming back from injury, probably not going to appear today, but in the next couple of episodes, certainly will be hopefully leaving his mark on the first team, and he is going to probably have to fill in at centre attacking mid for us, and be the Fekir replacement alongside our. Don't want to rush Memphis back to fitness too quickly, because that could backfire for us. Anyway, you can see here training performances have been pretty good across the board. I talked about doing some mentoring. Let's do some. So the way that I like to do my mentoring, and I feel like in terms of mentoring this year in FM, obviously this is the first year that the feature's been added. I'm hoping that it's going to continue to be developed. But essentially this has replaced tutoring, and it's a good way to pass on player personalities in your team. So for example, a more senior player like Marcelo is going to be a very good tutor for some younger defenders. Now, whether or not Denea and Tete are young enough remains to be seen. But for example, for a player like Cacaret, he could be a good tutor. Let's have a look, actually. Fairly professional, a good personality to pass on if he can. I just feel like these players who are in their young 20s are probably a few years too late to have any meaningful impact. Yeah, you can see here it's not going to do a great deal for us. You have to have a minimum of 3 players in a group. You can see here Wallace and Denea already have average influence in the groups, and normally I wouldn't necessarily put them in. I'm just wondering if there's any younger players we can put in. Of course, the other thing to consider is the fact you can only tutor and have players in here who are in the first team, so we can't really promote players up to be a part of this group. In terms of what I'm thinking, Toussaint probably isn't going to gain a great deal, but Tete and Cech could definitely do with being a little more professional. They're both balanced, so we'll put them in this tutoring group here for defenders. I think defensively we don't actually have as young a kind of defence compared to the rest of the pitch. I think when we get to our midfielders, and I think we might even break this up into more defensive players and more offensive players, this is where we might have a little bit more luck. Players like Cacaret here are going to be very kind of good players to hopefully get tutored. And a player like Jordan Ferry, if he is considered more influential, which you can't see here, it'd be great if that was something I could just see instead of having to guess, what a player's influence would be. He is going to have a good influence potentially on Ndombele and Cacaret, because he is listed as a perfectionist. The only thing to consider is he only has 15 determination. So with Ndombele, who has 16 determination, that could be a problem, but I quite like perfectionist as a personality. So that would be good to pass on if it's considered average influence. You can see here Ndombele probably isn't going to benefit quite so much because he is slightly older. I'm just wondering if we actually have a younger player who could be influenced. In fact, McTominay can be. So, yeah, Maxi here. He has okay determination at 14. That could improve to 15 under the guidance of Ferry. But I'm just looking at, the other elements that make up the perfectionist personality as things that would be worth considering. Anyway, let's make an attacking midfielder kind of area here. This is definitely the one actually where I think we can have the most to gain. Players like Gravenberch, Aouar, Marin. These are all players who could definitely benefit if we've got a good tutor. Ambitious is a pretty good personality that Gnabry has. If we could improve the determination at all as well, that would be good. Depay has 14 determination. What does Gnabry have? 11. That's a little off-putting, I'll be honest. Obviously, determination is one of the few mentals that you can just see. Looking at a lot of these players, they've actually, all three of these youngsters, Aouar, Gravenberch and Marin, have 13 determination. So Fekir, for example, with his 16 determination, could be a good influence for this group, as could Depay, who only has 14 determination, which is still an improvement, but he has good ambition. And ambition is something that can be pretty, beneficial. You can see here, actually, Aouar already considered a reasonably important part of the first team, but he should still benefit from Fekir's guidance because Fekir is kind of considered a significant player in the dressing room. This is all linked in, if you don't know, to, if I just go to, I'm clicking on all the wrong tabs here. If we go to the dynamic screens, this is all done by the hierarchy. So, for example, players like Lopez are going to be good tutoring influences. Because we have such a young squad, we don't have that many leaders. You kind of look across here. Players like Toussaint is 21 years old, and he's already considered a highly influential player. If you were, perhaps a more quote-unquote normal squad in terms of ages, that would be slightly different. Anyway, I think we can do maybe one more group for attackers here. I must admit, this whole kind of mentoring system, I'm still getting to grips with it. It's something that I've not used that much, really, but I feel like it's the kind of thing that's going to improve over the coming years of FM, which kind of leaves me pretty excited. Samuel Dembele's got ambitious personality. Martinez has got fairly determined. Both of those will hopefully help out Terrier, who is currently, well, you can see here, he's currently considered balanced. Just wondering if there's any other young attackers that we could potentially slot in here. Saint Maximin can maybe develop and benefit a little bit, although his influence, you can see here, is listed as average. We could look at bringing in Thomas here and promoting him, although he's already got pretty good determination. I don't necessarily dislike his current personality. Gouiri is a player who, once he's back from injury, I'd definitely like to get involved in the tutoring setup. He looks like a very good player, but unfortunately, he's got damaged cruciate ligament, kind of as an injury for 5 to 6 months, which is going to be a wee bit of a problem. So, in terms of the mentoring, I think this is what we'll go with for now. Basically, the way I like to approach things is try and get players who have good estimated influence and good personalities in groups with, younger players here. As I said, defensively, we've not got a great selection of tutors, and in fact, across the whole team, we've not got this crazy selection. Maybe in the upcoming transfer windows, I could do with getting in a few players in their mid to late 20s who have, really standout personalities, because we have lots of players with good personalities, but not quite so many with just great personalities, if that makes sense. I would be curious to know how you guys have been getting on with the new mentoring system, because it is new to Football Manager. It is, a relatively, I feel like, unfamiliar feature to a lot of people. I'll be honest, I kind of miss the old tutoring system. It was a lot more powerful, a lot more influential. Perhaps a little unrealistic, the idea that you could just, tell an older player to just put a player under his wing and within like 6 months the 16-year-old would be a modern professional. But I feel like there perhaps still is a balance to be struck there. Marcelo's not been doing that great in training, which is a little bit concerning. We're going to warn him about his recent training. Of course, we've got Danea who could step up. This could be in part down to the fact he is 31 and he is going to be 32 towards the tail end of this season. But he has got 16 natural fitness, so you wouldn't really expect him to drop off too much. Anyway, we've got the game here against Nantes at home, and then we're following it up with the game against Club Brugge. 2 games where I think we will play the more attacking system that we have. We've got a 4-game break, which is nice. We might still need to rest players a little bit. Rainy Adelaide's been performing very well to start the season, 4 assists. He's a player who I used last year in FM, and despite his injury proneness, I do have a little bit of a soft spot for him. You can see he was signed by Angers for £3 million from Arsenal in real life following a loan spell. He looks pretty tasty. I guess the unfortunate thing is perhaps don't need attacking midfielders right now. I think defensively that's kind of where we're lacking in the youngster department. I wouldn't mind getting an understudy perhaps to Martinez and Dembele, although Guiri could potentially be that man. So am I happy with this team selection? Marcel at left back is lacking a little bit of fitness, so I think we'll bring in Denayer. I'm also going to bring Teti in, I think. I'm just going to check here. Our next league game is against PSG, so I might want to be mindful of the fact that Marcelo is 1 booking away from a suspension, as is Tete. I could bring in Lala for Tete. I am a tiny bit concerned about Marcelo being 1 yellow card away, but if he was to get suspended, we could just play Denayer at centre-back. It wouldn't be the end of the world necessarily. Undeniably, we would be weaker, and against PSG, I'd like that more senior personnel. At the same time, I might not lose too much sleep over it. I think I'm actually going to play Terrier ahead of Aouar here. Aouar's on 93% condition, so it's not perfect. And Terrier's just been in great form, so I feel like we should play him. Obviously, Saint-Maximin is going to play out on that left-hand side. Bertrand Traoré out on the right. Dembele again is still 1 booking away from a suspension. I don't know if these suspensions can clear after a period of time. Feels like Dembele's been 1 booking away from a suspension for a little while. I'm just wondering if I want to have Gravenberch on the bench or if I'd be better off having Jordan Ferry. As much as Ferry's been kicking up a bit of a stink, I do feel like he's a player who I would like to keep in and around the first team, albeit, intermittently, just to hopefully keep him happy at the club. He is homegrown at club. It's kind of beneficial with the European registration. And Gravenberch didn't have a standout debut by any means. He's a youngster, 16 years old. I don't need to rush him into the first team. He doesn't need to be on the bench or starting each and every game. Anyway, let's see how we get on here. Looking at their team, they've got Salah, which is a little bit sad. Rest in peace. But the rest of their team looks very good. They're going to be playing with 2 kind of attacking wingers, probably going to be looking to hit us on the break. But I do like the way we match up against them. They've got some familiar faces in their team. I noticed, I think, Fabio, right back, who of course is brother of Raphael, our player who is on his way to China in January and currently kind of sat collecting a paycheck in the reserve team. But yeah, we've got to be good here. Set piece. We've been a little unconvincing from these. And while Lopez, I don't know if that went over the line. It was very close. Not the most convincing of defending in the first 3 minutes. We are going to need to step things up and be a little bit better than we were there. That was definitely questionable defending, to say the very least. Set pieces has been where we've conceded most of our goals this year. In fact, our only league goal conceded in our first 7 games was a set piece. And actually, looks like Nantes here are actually causing us perhaps a few problems. We have got the team rotated a little bit. It's not really a disrespectful move. Nantes, they're a good team, but I feel like even our backup players should be able to go toe-to-toe with them. And on an individual basis, I think we can win the individual battles. And while Saint-Maximin going to put that theory to the test, Traoré looked potentially offside there. This might go to VAR. I thought he was offside at first viewing. We'll see if it gets ruled out. I don't want to celebrate too prematurely. I will say I'm never sure on these highlights if it's been given or not, which might seem a little bit odd. I think he is actually onside. I don't think the striker touched it. But yeah, the VAR highlights in FM this year, obviously, it's the first year of their implementation. I sometimes get a bit confused when it goes to a review if it's definitely been given or not. That one is going to be given. I've not finished talking about the first goal, and Bertrand Traoré is picking up his 2nd goal of the game. I talked about the fact he was a star player last episode, a player who I've not had the best experiences with in Football Manager. He's putting that all to bed today. He has been great. 2 goals in 2 minutes for him. He's going to be looking for a hat-trick now. And, well, if we were looking a little bit nervy after that early set piece, I think it's fair to say that we've, well, grown into this match as it's gone on. And, well, we're looking to build from the back here again. Goals galore in the league. The Toulouse game is 2-2 after 24 minutes. Can we add another one here? Saint-Maximin. I mean, he's not been great until this game, but he's had a hand to play in all of the goals, Saint-Maximin. So that's great for him out on that left-hand side. Of course, with Depay coming in, he might slip out of first-team contention. But, well, he's making a case for himself to remain a component of the first team. Indeed, 2 set pieces. He's got another free kick he's going to take for us here. It's back post. The flag is up. I'm not sure if that was offside. Wallace has scored it. The VAR is going to disallow the goal. Curiously, the official did flag for it. Was it offside? I mean, did this player interfere with play? He did. It bounced off him. So Wallace, unfortunately for us, in an offside position. Ball did deflect off him, so I can't really complain. But as a result, that goal is going to be chalked off. We're looking very good, though, here. You can see we've got this system whereby we're not keen to close them down necessarily, but we're going to play a high line and we're going to say, hey, if you want to play it out from the back, you can try. We're going to cause you problems. Martinez has got to finish that. Would Dembele have scored it? I feel like Martinez, he's had a few opportunities fall his way. He's taken some of them, but he could have had twice as many goals as he's scored this season if he'd been just a smidge more clinical. Unfortunately, a real gift of a chance there for us was squandered. Our wide men really have been the standout option. Saint-Maximin, another set piece. We are causing Nantes some serious set piece issues. They are struggling to contain us. Wallace now, the centre-back. How is your crossing, son? Not that great as it turns out, although the ball only half cleared here. Toussaint to Saint-Maximin. Now with Ndombele. Lovely build-up play here. Terrier turns, hits it once, hits it again. I mean, it counts. I feel like we've got the rub of the green with some goals so far during our time here at Lyon. I'm not going to complain. It's a long shot effort that cannons off the post and hits the keeper on the back and goes in. Terrier, the first shot blocked, the second shot, what an effort it was. It almost deserved a goal, and well, it resulted in a goal. I mean, it's another one that I have to chalk down and say, I'd be very annoyed if it was scored against me, but when it goes your way, you don't really complain about it so much. We are 3-0 up. We look superb. I am loving our time here. Against smaller teams you could potentially slip up against. We just perform superbly. We have a chance here. Traoré with the rebound for the first half hat-trick. Saint-Maximin with the initial long shot. Keeper parried it away unconvincingly. We have been rampant in this half. We've taken the opportunities that came our way. Missed one or two, but, well, Bertrand Traoré, 6th goal of the season for him. Tucks it home. And I am very, very happy with what I'm seeing from our team right here and now. Wasn't offside either. We don't need to watch that highlight. We know it wasn't offside. I will say, from what I'm seeing thus far in the 19.3 match engine since the March update, inside forwards seem very good at scoring and very good at getting into space. We are seeing that, well, very frequently, it feels like here. Saint-Maximin obviously had a hand to play in all the goals on the right-hand side, and he's been finding his inside forward compatriot on the other wing, Lopez. Good save, to be fair. Nantes have had 2 clear-cut chances. They've only had 2 shots all game, and they've both been those chances. Lopez in goal, whilst they have been straight at him, he has been making the saves that he's had to make. He can't choose where the striker sticks the ball. What he can choose is whether or not he saves it, and he's been very good for us, hasn't he? I mean, I'm delighted, boys. Great performance in this first half. A few players could perhaps be doing a little bit better. Terrier's been a little underwhelming. I think we will actually bring Ferry in for this second half. If I'm not mistaken, Ndombele... Well, actually, I was about to say, if I'm not mistaken, Ndombele can play attacking midfielder. He actually can't. So with that in mind, maybe I won't bring in Ferry just yet. I guess we could bring him on for Toussaint. I really want to give him just some game time to keep him happy. The rest of the team, though, I'm very, very happy with. Let's start the second half here. Obviously, we can rest players like Toussaint, who are important players in our game plan now for our game against Club Brugge. Traoré with the set piece here. With Fekir out, he's on duty. Keeper stops it. I feel like we're about to get shown a highlight that it didn't cross the line. It's been a common trend of free kicks. Yep, okay, it didn't cross the line. I feel like that FM doesn't need to show me every free kick that gets saved like that. But it feels a need to. You know what? It wants to make me feel like there was a chance it could have crossed the line and then just break my heart. 48 minutes gone. We are looking very, very solid here. Denea, big ball forward. Tries to get it to Martinez. Dealt with okay. Now Ndombele. He's still looking for his first goal of the season. He's still looking for it. He's picked out Lala, though, who crosses it in. Martinez is there. Heads it over the crossbar. Perhaps could have done a little bit better with that opportunity. I'm actually thinking I might want to take Wallace out of this game. Or sorry, not Wallace, Marcelo out of this game. And rejig the team a little bit. We can bring in Denea at centre-back, then bring Tete in to play right-back. I think Tete's one booking away from a yellow card, but so is the experienced head of Marcelo. I'm hoping that Tete can just be well-behaved at right-back and not get booked. Of course, Lala, more than competent as an alternative in the wing-back position. He's shown that in the opportunities we've given him. But I would like to be at full strength against PSG. I do, however, value Marcelo at a centre-back more than I value Tete at right-back. So that's why I'm willing to bring in Tete, who is also one yellow card away from a suspension, just to play things safe and make sure that we have our starting centre-back partnership here. Long shot again. Lopez with another superb save. Kind of sticking with that trend and making some crucial stops for us. They've got a chance here. Bashila whips it in. Lopez again. That almost went straight in. I'm not sure how it's gone wide. I'm going to shout at the players and demand more from them just to end out this game. Martinez on a booking. I'm going to take off just to be safe. We'll bring in Dembele again. I feel like between Martinez and Dembele, I've been a little underwhelmed with their goal scoring. They've been getting goals, but we've lent very heavily on the inside forwards and our attacking midfielders to get us them for the most part. Another chance here, hits the woodwork. We're going to get shown that it didn't cross the line again, aren't we, in a second? It's hacked clear by Nantes. Wallace maybe with a chance? No, he's not got a chance. 10 minutes left. Can we deal with the set piece here? Bashila crosses it in. Carlos, I mean, it's another stop by Lopez. It's a third clear-cut chance of the game, and whilst 4-0 looks, ridiculously convincing, like we've been by far and away the better team, do not understate just how good Lopez has been in goal as he now punches it clear. He has been a real saviour in this match for us. He wants to keep the clean sheet kind of streak going that we have, this kind of tremendous defensive form that we've had in the league. If we can keep one here, it would take us to 7 clean sheets in our opening 8 games, and whilst yes, you'd expect us to be very dominant. Yes, we are predicted to finish third in the league. Just how good we've been defensively can't be underestimated. It can't be understated. We shouldn't sell ourselves short. Time just trickling away in this game. Our player's not looking too tired, which is good considering we've got another game coming up. But it's been another great little team performance here. Don't think there's going to be another goal, unfortunately. It's a flurry of first half goals for us. I mean, again, standout player was Bertrand Traoré, this time picking up a hat-trick. And in the league, we look top-notch. We go top of the league. Looks like PSG drew, they did against Nice, who, of course, we beat 4-0. They're up in 4th, so they're doing pretty well. We have also played Strasbourg, who are in 7th, but we're yet to play the likes of Bordeaux and Toulouse, which I'd kind of put into a similar bracket as Nice, really. I feel like for ourselves, we are, I don't know if we're quite in the same kind of category as Monaco and PSG. I consider those kind of the big 2 teams in France. I feel like we're a little bit in a category of our own as the 3rd place team. We want to make efforts to be a top 2 team in France, but I don't know if at least on paper we're quite there yet. But then I feel like behind Lyon, there's a little bit of a gap to then, those trailing teams, the likes of Nice, Bordeaux. Good teams in their own right, but I feel like we do have the edge on them. Ferry wants to discuss the fact he might not get first team football at the club. I literally played you last game. I think I want to tell him that I need him to be patient. He thinks he deserves to play in important matches and he wants to play. Okay, I've probably got to sell him. I wanted to keep him as well, but we have got adequate backup. It's just a case of, is anyone actually going to be interested in him? We'll offer him out for £5 million. Just as he removes his transfer request, he puts in another one. Ferry, I wish you knew what you wanted, my friend. We're being suggested Jimenez as a top target from Atletico. I feel like he's a defender slightly out of our league right now. But I don't know. I feel like longer term, maybe he is the kind of player we should be striving to get. Dubois now out for 3 to 4 weeks. Fortunately, he is only a backup option. Of course, given the fact we've already got a few injuries in the fullback area, it's perhaps a tiny bit concerning. It has just dawned on me that I didn't rest our players following that previous game. It actually looks like the conditions recovered okay, given how much we've rotated the team. We're not in too bad a position. there are a few players who are perhaps just worth resting just for one day, just to make sure they're pretty much fully fit for this next game. It's against Club Brugge. It's going to be a big one. Of course, they beat Dortmund in the Champions League previously, so we can't afford to underestimate them, but at home against them, and given our current form, I feel like we almost certainly go into the game as the favourites. I feel like that is undeniable. Apparently their key player to watch out for is going to be Wesley. Bit of a target man, not the paciest striker, which is kind of suiting us, I feel like. We are a team that it would be fair to say we don't have the paciest defence. Denayer can be that pace in the defence, but between Wallace and Marcelo, we're not quick. So I feel like Wesley is the kind of striker who I like coming up against, at least with our current kind of centre-back kind of setup that we've settled on. You can see we are 4th in the group due to the nature of the defeat against Juventus. I still feel like 2-0 was not a bad defeat by any means, but we're going to look to hopefully bounce back here and, well, see how we get on. In terms of the team, we can strengthen it a little bit from what played previously. Tete is going to be suspended due to his previous escapades in Europe, where he got sent off, of course. Depay, not quite fit enough for the team. He did a fitness test, recommended not to be selected. I'm going to trust our staff in that regard. Given all the current injury issues, there is a world here where Mbia might start having to play a little bit in the first team. Marcel can come in at left back, that's fine. Kenny Lala at right back, 7.5 average rating for him in his first 4 games is absolutely superb. He is looking like, at £3.2 million, a very shrewd investment, if I might say so myself. Despite how much we have rotated the back four, the average ratings have just been very, very consistent. Marcel didn't play him in that previous game against Nantes because I wanted to have him rested up for this game. At 29 years old, not got the craziest natural fitness, still kind of finding his feet when it comes to, match sharpness as a whole. But he is going to play for us today. I mean, is there anything that I really want to change here? I think playing Dembele ahead of Martinez might be smart. Martinez 2 goals in 6 games. You can see for Dembele, he has 1 goal and 1 assist in 7. If we just look at my match stats view here, this is probably a better way to get a direct comparison between the players. So you can see Dembele has played 437 minutes compared to Martinez. So Martinez scoring more goals per minute. But if we actually look at clear-cut chances kind of created, Dembele has actually created some. In terms of shots, Dembele has had significantly more shots as well. Perhaps more from range, he's had more on target. Martinez, it feels like he's missed more clear-cut opportunities for us though. Interestingly enough, they're both fairly similar when it comes to their aerial ability. Dembele perhaps winning slightly more headers. And we have got more points per game when Martinez has played. I must admit, I love this match stats view that I have. I use it very occasionally. I feel like I should use it more often. It's sometimes, a good way to do direct comparisons between players. A good example would probably be with our defenders. Wallace and Marcelo at centre-back. Here we can see exactly what our 2 centre-backs offer us. You can see Wallace has played more time. Marcelo slightly better in the air. Now, tackle completion rate is at 100% for Wallace, which is absolutely superb. 8 out of 8 tackles for him. In terms of interceptions, they're both contributing a hell of a lot there. Interesting to see Wallace has 13 shots, and that is because of our corner routine. So you can see how we really do make the most of our set pieces, and he's a massive part of them on that back post as that player looking for headers. And similarly, you can see Bertrand Traoré and Maximin. They're having a decent amount of shots and a decent amount of shots on target as well from that inside forward role. Terrier, 37 shots for him from out on the left hand side. Inside forwards are performing very interestingly currently in the match engine. From my early experiences with them, it feels like they might be very well tuned in terms of being able to find space. So we're going to make the most of that. Of course, it could just be a case of that they're just performing very well. I think for this game, we're going to drop St. Maximin and play Aouar at centre attacking mid actually, and then play Terrier in the left attacking midfielder position where he has performed so well. I feel like this is pretty much the strongest team that we can play for today's game. A little bit of rotation, but match fitness is very good across the board. Now, let's see if we can get an all-important win. That is going to be the aim today. And we really do need it. I mean, they are performing and deploying a very interesting formation that I can't say I've prepared myself for. They're playing with 2 strikers and a centre attacking mid, which is interesting. Very interesting. Now, I'm a little bit nervous about the fact they're playing with 2 strikers and a centre attacking mid, because normally if a team plays a centre attacking mid, they don't very frequently then play with 2 strikers as well. So what will often happen is the one striker will stand up, and then one of your centre-backs can, push up and, hopefully eliminate the threat that is the kind of attacking midfielder. But because they're playing a triangle, I'm a little bit inclined to drop Toussaint deeper and play him, in this slightly deeper role in the team. Now, that might leave Aouar a little isolated, and Terrier is going to be kind of required to track back a little bit more. But I think in having Toussaint sit a little bit deeper, he's going to now be goal side of their defensive midfielder. Oh, sorry, not their defensive midfielder. Their attacking midfielder a little bit more often. We'll keep an eye on that. It's going to be their number 20, who's the man to keep an eye on there. We've got a set piece. We're looking for Wallace at the back post. It's that corner routine. Just get a good header at the back post and aim for the back post constantly. It seems just to be very, very solid. It is only Wallace's first goal of the season, but the amount of chances and goals that we've had from corners has been high. Now that I think about it, we've had a lot of goals disallowed from corners. I think in our current corner routine, we have some of our more attacking players to stand on the post, but they're getting caught offside quite a lot. So I'm wondering with our corner routine if we should change things there. Terrier scored. Is it offside? Apparently that's an own goal. That was a weird goal. We're not going to complain. 2 goals in the first 4 minutes. It's a ball deep to the back post. I thought Terrier was the man who scored it. But it's been accredited to Bonaventura. Let's have a look here. Lala whips it in. It deflects off him. I don't know if the initial shot would have gone in. I think the keeper would have had it covered. But we're not going to complain. I was worried going into this game. I thought Club Brugge could cause us some problems. 2 goals in the first 4 minutes, though, is definitely going to settle the nerves here. I do feel like we've got the rub of the green when it comes to some of the match engine shenanigans. Is this going to be a red card? I mean, again, when it comes to the match, that did not look like a red card in 3D. Was it? Let's have another look. Was this a red card? But as I was about to say, I feel like we've got the benefit of the doubt and a bit of the rub of the green sometimes. Was this a bad tackle? I mean, yeah, it was. It was a reckless tackle. We've got the rub of the green, but at the same time, the reason we've had so much fortune with the match engine is because we are having so many shots. We are being so aggressive and so attacking. I mean, Terrier thought he was going to tuck it home for his 6th of the season. He's been so good in that kind of area at finding the back of the net. Unfortunately, we've just not been able to convert. Back post again, Wallace, this time narrowly over the crossbar, but it's the routine again, get a big tall man on the back post and get it to them. They've changed their formation. They've ditched the attacking midfielder, I guess due to their sending off. They don't really have a choice. With that in mind, I'm going to move Toussaint higher up the field. We will never know if that was the right tactical decision to make, because that sending off has kind of changed this whole tie now. I want to believe it was, but with them now switching to a more, well, I was about to say more conventional system. It's not conventional at all, the formation Brugge are playing. Apparently, it was enough to undo Dortmund, but I do back us to do well against them with our current tactics. But we'll never know if that tactical decision was right. Terrier, another effort for him. You can see why he's having so many shots. The inside forwards, just with those low kind of balls and those low shots to the back post, seems to be very kind of frequent. If Dortmund lose to Juventus, that would be probably the best result for us. It's going to be a penalty. I think that was Wallace fouled. Dembele's going to take the penalty. He is the best penalty taker in the team, so we'll keep it on him. With Fekir out, it's going to fall on the shoulders of the young Frenchman to get a goal. I talked about his lack of goals so far this season. He has a golden opportunity here, and he's missed it. And it immediately, half-time as well. That is weird. The last kick of the half, a penalty to make it 3-0. And it's squandered. I'm going to tell the players I'm not happy. Wallace is a little unhappy with that. I'm going to tell him that I've got a lot to come from him. In fact, it wasn't Wallace, it was Marcelo. It was the other Brazilian centre-back who was unhappy with that team talk. The rest of the team, though, did respond well. It might seem odd to tell the players I'm unhappy with that first team performance, given the fact we're 2-0 up and they've had a man sent off. But I find it just a very effective tactic a lot of times in FM. I feel like sometimes it doesn't necessarily work out but a lot of the time, players do respond well to it. Terrier and Dembele haven't played that well, so with that in mind, we're going to make some changes. I'm going to bring in Maxim in, and I'm also going to bring in Martinez just to get some fresh legs into the final third. I feel like if you're a Club Brugge defender, you've been stuck in this hard slog of a game, you're down a man, the last thing you want to see is us bringing on some fresh legs in the final third. You can see Dortmund have turned things around against Juventus. I tell you, Juventus win wouldn't be the worst result for us. It would probably be arguably the best. But that would make the group very, very interesting if we win here and Juve win here, because I think every team would be on 3 points. It's been a bit of a nothing second half in truth. Brugge have done nothing all game. They've really not created a great deal. We've had 4 half chances and 1 clear-cut chance. Kind of wish we'd been a bit more clinical with those opportunities, but at the same time, we're going to run out victors in what has been a great performance. Let's be honest, Dortmund grab a 3rd goal as well, so that is probably now a win for them. So it's looking very likely that after 2 matches played in the Champions League, although I say this, Juventus have now made it 3-2, feels like all the action's happening in that other game in the group stage. If Dortmund win, it would probably be the most interesting result. Ideally, Juventus winning would be the best result. A draw would be okay too. It's a bit too early to know exactly what is a good or a bad result. They kind of all come with their own pros and cons. You can see Dortmund did hold on for that 3-2 win there. Our under-19s won 6-0 against Club Brugge's young side as well. Wallace putting in a man-of-the-match performance. I think he did win the penalty as well. He was very, very good for us. An 8.4 rating. Can't complain about that. I do want to quickly look at our set pieces and the corner routine that we use. Because it is often this midfielder who's set to look at far post, he gets caught offside. So with that in mind, I'm actually going to change the routine a little bit. I'm going to change them to attack from the edge of the area. Just the wide man. Again, I don't know if we necessarily want a mark keeper player either. I think we'll just set the centre attacking mid to go forward. One thing that I've just noticed, just in general when we've been playing, is that we do tend to be caught in a situation where we kind of have players just needlessly offside. So if we can minimise that, I do wonder if the near post player attacking is going to be a problem as well. Well, I guess we can play it by ear. But certainly from what we've seen, an emerging trend has been offsides from corners, where the far post routine that we have, where we just get it to Wallace, a big, massive target man who's got great strength, great bravery. He's going to throw himself about. He gets there, he wins the header. Often the keeper's going to parry it, and when he parries it, I want players to be there to run onto it. But at the moment, instead of having players run into the keeper and run onto those mistakes, what's happening is we have a player marking the keeper, or, at the back post. They're just stood in an offside position because it seems like the AI defensive marking now pushes out a little bit after that initial header is won. So we'll make these changes. We'll see if that works for us. I think that will benefit us quite a lot, to be honest. I guess time will tell in that regard. And looking at things here, we now have PSG in 3 games' time. Depay might be worth a spot on the bench, potentially for Cornet. Before we go, I do want to just set the players who need a rest to go and rest. Just to make sure we're at maximum fitness for that next game. It's going to be a big one. I think we might stick with the same team that played against Bruges, to be honest. Maybe play Martinez ahead of Dembele. Both strikers not quite in the best of form, you'd have to say. I'm actually going to criticise. This is a bit risky. I'm going to criticise Dembele's recent form. Don't feel like he's been at his best, and he doesn't argue with it. He can't argue with it. He knows that I'm right. I mean, it's got to be said, when you look at these results, we are just doing so well right now. So many clean sheets, looking great attacking-wise. I do feel like if we could refine our corner tactic just a little bit, it would go a long way. In terms of how we're going to approach the next game, I think I might be inclined to try and play our 5 in midfielder kind of system again. I feel like this is a system that we have the players to play. It suits us pretty nicely. I actually think we might want to play with our on support and then Traoré on attack. Obviously, that was previously an advanced playmaker on attack with Fekir. Unfortunately, we've got these injuries to contend with. Fekir, how long until you're going to be back? Have we got a better guesstimate yet? 10 days to 3 weeks, so he's not going to be back for that game against PSG, but he could potentially be back for the game against Dortmund. It's going to be a bit of a race back to fitness. We have got Nîmes, who are, well, 20th in the league, so I feel like that is a game that is very winnable and is the kind of game that we could play a very rotated team for just to ensure maximum fitness for the upcoming fixtures we've got coming up. And that might well be what we go for. You can see we have got a big break between the PSG and Nîmes game as well. We'll have to see how things play out. We'll have one last look at the league table just so you guys can see how it's playing out. Monaco in third, not entirely surprising. The fact we're top and clear of PSG right now is very, very pleasing. Hopefully, we can keep up this level of performance. You can see Traoré currently best average rating in the league, and Ndombele joint top on assists. And well, Lopez 5 clean sheets. He saved our bacon a little bit against Nantes. The Portuguese keeper has not got enough plaudits. I'll leave things now by saying he has been a top player for us. A 7.05 average rating. If your keeper has more than a 7 average rating, he is doing very well in Football Manager terms. And Lopez most certainly is. Anyway, guys, that is going to wrap up everything from me today. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode as always. If you have, do drop a like on it. I will see you guys again very, very soon. I will also say, actually, before I go, on the episode prior to this, I said that if that episode got a certain amount of likes, I think it was 300 likes, that this video would go up the day that that video was uploaded as well. So if this is the second episode of the day, make sure you watch that one and caught up on it. It's something that I might do, every Sunday. We might look at the potential to do a double header. I talked about it last time, just to mention it again. I want to know your viewing habits with the save, particularly if you're someone who's got to the end of the episode and is listening to this now. Your opinion really does matter to me because you're the person who is clearly the most invested in the save game. So let me know down in the comments. With this series, are you binge watching it? Do you let the episodes, accumulate and then watch a few at a time? Are you someone who's just watching it every day as they come out? How do you feel about the video length? Do let me know. And also, do you think, for example, with the PSG game and then the Nîmes game, with there being a 2-week international break, should I just look to cut that bit out in between next episode? Do let me know. Curious to know your thoughts. And yeah, that's going to be all from me today. Guys, thank you for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed, as already said. Leave a like if you have, and I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. It is me, Jack, and I'm out.